Are you ready to say thank you to Jrue Holiday, Keefe?
Thank you, Jrue Holiday.
Say thank you.
Jrue Holiday was a very important piece to a championship team. Jrue Holiday was really what unlocked him. Jrue Holiday was very important. I'm not even being facetious in any way. Jrue Holiday was the right guy at the right time. He was a real pro. I don't think they win the title without him. And he will be remembered as one of those guys that was on a Boston championship team for a very short amount of time, but was very impactful. So I'll always look fondly at Jrue Holiday. Thank you, Jrue Holiday.
The upgrade from, and I know they weren't directly related, they were separate trades, but the upgrade from Marcus Smart to Jrue Holiday isn't the biggest reason why they won the title. Like, your best players need to come through, and Jalen did when the Celtics won 2 years ago. Tatum, a little more questionable. But, I mean, you need your best players to get there. I'm not telling you Jrue Holiday was more important than Jaylen Brown or even Tatum in that championship run, but upgrading from Marcus Smart, who, was a fan favorite but didn't know what to do in big moments. And then you have moments like that highlight we played for you, Jrue Holiday stripping it away against Indiana in the Eastern Conference Final. I'd say probably his signature moment en route to a championship.
Yeah.
That upgrade was a massive, massive difference. Not the biggest difference, but a massive difference in why you could knock on the door versus breaking through and actually winning banner 8.
But not only that, I mean, Brown and Tatum were the best players on the team 2 years ago, but I don't know if they're as good if they don't have Jrue Holiday. Like, Jrue Holiday really was, especially at a time where they go from, Brad Stevens to Ime Udoka to Joe Mazzulla. Then you have like a coach on the floor, having a guy that won a title, because nobody else on the whole roster had won a title before. Jrue Holiday was wildly important. And it was like Milwaukee made a huge mistake because they saw Damian Lillard out there. They saw that Lillard was available, who in a vacuum is a better player than Holiday. But for that team, Holiday helped them win a title in Milwaukee, right? There was a reason why for years and years and years, Giannis would fail in the playoffs. Then he breaks through with Holiday. They give up on him too quick. Celtics get him. Now, this past year, he was kind of broken down. And that's why I'm not kicking and screaming that he's gone. It felt like it was kind of inevitable that he was going to be gone. So in the history of the Celtics, you're going to look back and be like, man, Jrue Holiday was only on the team for 2 years. But that 1 year was huge. I mean, he was, I think, probably runner-up for Eastern Conference Finals MVP, or at least he should have been. Like, he was really good in that series against the Pacers. And he was always just like a steady, calming influence on the team. Anytime the opponent would make a run, like, they would get the ball to Holiday, and I feel like everybody would like take a breath. And it was like, all right, we're good. Right. And then he made Tatum and Brown better. And so, because there were years, I mean, you go back to like the Warriors final. I mean, turnover city. And like, guys just couldn't keep their composure. I bet if Jrue Holiday was on that team, they'd win the title.
They absolutely win against Golden State. I mean, absolutely. I believe that as well.
Yeah.
So, no, his ability to be a calming presence in those big spots, he's a winner. I know that's a cliche that gets thrown around a lot, but he won before he got here. He won when he got here. I don't think he's going to be winning anytime soon in Portland, but I guess you can't rule it out with his track record. Yeah. So if you're just tuning in to Jones and Keefe here on WEEI, maybe you went to bed early last night. You didn't make it up for that just absolute crap fest of a Red Sox loss last night, which we'll get to.
I was just trying to mind my business watching the Red Sox, but it's a late Red Sox game. I was having a couple brew dogs, minding my business, looking at Twitter, because, sometimes there's too many, even with the pitch clock, the game can run a little long. Mm-hmm. And I look down, I'm like, come on. Right now? Are we going to deal with this now?
Roman Anthony's up with the bases juiced. The reason I saw the trade happen was your tweet, Keith.
Sacks were packed. Roman Anthony at the dish. Did strike out.
So we'll get to the Red Sox.
Spoiler on the Anthony at-bat.
Wasn't a very competitive at-bat. For a guy who gives a lot of competitive at-bats, that wasn't very competitive at-bat.
Wasn't his strongest.
But Red Sox crap fest loss. We got some Patriots thoughts coming up as well. Tier Tuesday at 11:30. Kiefer Madness at 12:45. All that good stuff for you here on Jones and Keefe. But the Celtics traded away Jrue Holiday last night. They acquire Anfernee Simons, who I'm not sure all fans are aware of.
I like this guy.
Good player.
Yes.
And they got 2 second-round picks. Sham Charania, by the way, says they're not done. We should have listened to Terp. Hashtag Terp knew. Terp said they're making moves before the draft. I asked him today. I don't know how many specifics he wanted to deliver.
Oh, boy.
But he said Porzingis is getting moved before the draft. High likelihood that happens again before the draft.
Brad Stevens doesn't mess around. And so everybody started calling Danny Ainge Trader Danny. Mm-hmm. And, Brad Stevens makes more trades, doesn't he? I feel like Brad Stevens changes the roster more.
Trader Brad?
No, it's something else.
Doesn't work.
He needs something else. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but he's wheeling and dealing.
Okay.
He's a cold-blooded killer is what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the accountant.
Barter
Nick
Brad.
said he just watched The Accountant, too.
Good.
Brad Stevens is the accountant. Yeah, Accountant 2, not bad.
Barter Brad.
Barter Brad. We'll work on it off the air. We don't need to do it now.
What do you mean?
We don't need to
Open
do
it
it
up to the text line.
We don't have it. We don't have it.
I don't want to rule out that we've already stumbled across
I don't think we're going to get it.
Sometimes you don't want to dig too deep.
But this guy's
8 minutes to nicknames. That's not bad.
All right, Barter
No,
Brad.
that's a
Text line is open at 617-779-7937.
But that guy's he's wheeling and dealing all the time. He's not afraid to trade anybody. And so Jrue Holiday, it felt inevitable. Like, this one's not a surprise. Like, some of the other ones that he's traded were quick. Like, he's trading Kemba Walker. He's trading Marcus Smart.
The
like,
return's a surprise.
The return is a surprise. I like Simons. He has 1 year left on his deal. We were both surprised to realize how much money he's actually making.
Yep.
Now, less than Jrue Holiday, but not way less than Jrue Holiday.
No, they save like $4.5-5 million on the. I mean, they save more in taxes, but on the actual salary, they save about $4.5-5 million. There's still $18 million into the second apron. Simons is a free agent at the end of this upcoming season, so he has 1 year left. Holiday had more term. He's younger. He's 26.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's already making mid-20s in terms of salary. He's extension eligible. He's going to want an extension. So I'm not sure how long he's here for. He's going to fit right in with their style of play because the guy guns away.
Oh, yeah.
But Anfernee Simons, I think, is a really, really, really good return for Jrue Holiday. He averaged the last 3 seasons in reverse order, 19, 23, 21 points a game, 17. The year before that, the guy's a scorer. He's a 38% three-point shooter.
Starter on a bad team.
Starter on a really bad team. Got a lot of shots on Portland. May get a lot of shots here with Tatum hurt and Holiday gone and Porzingis probably on his way out the door. But I said for a while, Keefe, they're not going to get anything for these guys. They're not going to get anything for Holiday. They're not going to get anything for Porzingis. Wrap your head around it. They're going to have to attach draft picks and draft capital and wrap your head around the idea of getting a low-level return for these guys.
No, this is pretty good.
Wrong.
So if
Simons is a way better return than I expected, and they're the team getting draft capital. Not that I care about 2 second-round picks, but it's not like they sent out any draft capital. They actually got draft capital back with Simons. So really good trade.
Yeah, really good trade. And maybe we should have been more prepared for it when Desmond Bane got what he got, or Memphis got what they got for Desmond Bane.
1st-rounders and a swap, I think.
That's a ton.
Yeah.
And, Desmond Bane's better than, at this stage of his career than obviously the two guys in this deal. But still, like, that was quite a bit. And it just feels odd. Like, I don't know what Portland's doing, and I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't really care what they're doing. Maybe they'll flip Holiday or they'll do whatever. But 1 year left of Simons gives the Celtics some flexibility, too. They can see what they have in this guy. And if he's bad, he's gone. You end up saving money. If he's good, maybe you can re-sign him. But he's been a consistent scorer in the league. He's like an undersized 2 guard. Like, he's not really a point guard. He's sort of an undersized 2. But he'll fit right in with this team, like you said. The last 3 years, he has taken 9, 8.8, and 8.5 threes per game. So he's gonna chuck it. But I mean, he's a better scorer than Holiday. He's not the defender Holiday is, obviously.
No.
But,
I was talking with Turk before the show. He's arguably one of the worst defenders in the league.
Yeah.
But he's on a terrible team.
Right.
He's now on a better team. So you imagine some of the defensive metrics could uptick.
I think they'll go up a little bit. He's in the prime of his career. He just turned 26, like you said. So I like this, and it also makes me wonder, Art, if you're swapping out Holiday for a guy who's 12 years younger than him or whatever, what are you going to get for Porzingis? Is there like the big man equivalent to like a Simons that's out there that you could bring in? Because they're going to need help in the front court. Because I don't think Horford's coming back. Cornette, we'll see. I think Terp's hopeful that he could return. But they still need somebody even better than that to sort of pair up with Brown and White and now Simons and Pritchard. So maybe Brad's got something else up his sleeve. Maybe Porzingis will go for more than what we thought.
I know you don't want to do this right now, Keefe.
No, I don't.
But we have Blockbuster Brad.
Well,
Broker
right.
Brad.
Broker Brad?
Maybe rework that one.
Yeah.
The Brad father. And, of course, maybe my personal favorite, Foghorn Bradhorn. Maybe is
all that every time. We just always circle back. So Foghorn Breghorn and Foghorn Bradhorn.
Yeah, look, I'll say.
Fine, that works.
Maybe we should grab this, Nick. I should ask for it before the show. But Wick's saying, thank God for Brad Stevens. I mean, this is what he was talking about.
We're already there
on this very radio station. So, look, it's not a perfect trade. There are flaws, I think, to Simons' game, and we'll get into those.
Stevens, and thank God we do.
Thank God we have him.
Yeah.
So, I think there are flaws to the player. He's not a perfect player. And, his term, his lack of defensive prowess. the direction of the Celtics gunning threes, I think, is an interesting sidebar, but they are sidebars. The initial takeaway from the trade is I'm shocked they got so much. They got a guy who I think at worst is a trade chip, meaning you bring him in here, he averages his 20 points a game, he hits his threes, you flip him at the trade deadline if you're out of it. You decide if you want to pay him long term and get to know the player and figure out what you want to do, and maybe you get a good return for him. Maybe you actually bought a little low and you can sell a little high on Anfernee Simons to really build the team around Tatum and Brown moving forward. I do want to get further into this, too. I think it's representative of how the Celtics can compete in the East next year, even without Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And I'm stunned that they got as much as they did for Jrue Holiday, which makes me think what you were just saying, Keefe. Maybe they can get even more for Porzingis and Hauser than I was expecting because you have a GM who knows what he's doing.
At this stage of the game, what do you even get out of Jrue Holiday? Right? Like, again, thank you for the time. You were a great one-off Celtic, but next year, let's say there was no second apron and it was just, bring the guys back that you want. I don't know what you were going to get out of him. It was frustrating and I'm sure disappointing for him, just sort of the way he played towards the end. And during the regular season, there was a lot of like, that's okay. Don't worry about it. He knows what he's doing. He's, They're making sure he's ready to go for the playoffs, right? Like that's one guy that can kind of go through it. He's going to give up more shots than everybody else. You saw his scoring come way down when he joined the Celtics, all that. But then when he got to the playoffs, you're like, all right, can he turn it back up? Maybe not, at 35. So, and with a couple more years left on the deal, it wasn't going to get any better.
No, I'm shocked. He had 2 full years left on the deal and a player option at $37 million.
Yeah, which he should just take.
He's not going to turn $37 million down at age 37.
37.
Yeah, no chance.
He can't do it.
No chance.
And that's why I think just moving on from him anyway is all right. Like not relying on him and then giving somebody else an opportunity. And it was funny because we were getting those texts, and I think some of them were serious. They were like, well, Jrue Holiday's gone, but J.D. Davidson's coming up. J.D. Davidson was just G League Player of the Year. And you're like, no, you don't need that. But if you got somebody useful, like I didn't think you were going to be able to get even like a starter like for him, let alone somebody that has scored 20 points per game. Now, I know that's on a bad team, so I'm not expecting him to come in here and score 20. But I expect him to score in like the high teens. Like I think he could do that, and it takes some of the scoring pressure off of Derek White, for example, because we saw in the playoffs when Tatum goes down, Derek White feels obligated, like he's going to be even more bombs away. So this will sort of help both Jaylen Brown and Derek White quite a bit.
So, like, for instance, we were actually going to read through some of this today before the trade happened late last night. And you can jump in, 617-779-7937. That's your phone number to get in touch with Jones and Keefe. You can also text us. A lot of Brad Stevens nicknames rolling in on the text line right now. Let's see. Any updates? Oh, I thought there was a good one that I saw in the Twitch chat. I'll have to circle back to.
Bradis the Barter Beefcake.
That was the one. Yeah, you nailed it, Keith. That was the one. Yeah.
Was Brad Steelens the one you saw?
Ooh, no. Brad Steelens.
No.
That's not bad. Brad Steelens?
No, it was Bradley Steele is what it was. Twitch.
Bradley Steele was one underneath it. Yeah.
Bradley Steele. That was what it was.
Bradley Steele?
You can interact on Twitter and
Brad
Instagram.
Steelens is not bad, though.
At Jones and Keefe. Watch along and chat. Twitch.tv/Boston WEEI. Always, and especially today, a healthy chat going on there. And watch on YouTube. Just subscribe to WEEI. Bobby Marks did all these mock trades for the Celtics. One for Porzingis, one for Hauser, one for Holiday. The one he proposed is a 3-team trade where Holiday goes out. You get P.J. Washington back. I like P.J. Washington.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd rather have Anfernee Simons.
Same. Definitely.
So, look, I like this trade a lot. I love Jrue Holiday as a player. Guy was a winner. He brought a championship here in year one. He had the Celtics last year. I think he was playing well individually. I shouldn't say the team was. But he was playing well individually. You saw, I think, his play elevate in the postseason because he is a postseason player, a winning time player, multiple championships. So I love what he represents. And the Celtics may be worse off on the floor today than they were yesterday, right? Like Holiday is probably a bigger asset for winning.
I don't know anymore.
Than Simons. Okay.
I don't know anymore. Like, so we saw what we saw, but for the upcoming season, I don't know how much better he even is.
It's at least a debate.
Yeah,
but the reason they traded Holiday is not to be better on the floor. The reason they did it is financial.
Sure.
Which I don't love, but I get it. New ownership. They got to dip below the luxury tax. Without Tatum, I get that more. You can make the case they're worse off on the floor. They got a way better return than I thought. Now, here's what I'm interested in, Keith, and I'm interested if there's backlash on the trade. You mentioned the way he launches threes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's tiny, by the way. He's 6. I didn't realize he was so small. He's listed at 6'3". I bet he's smaller than that.
But he plays big.
No, not really. He plays,
like chucks it from deep.
5 feet behind the 3-point line.
Yeah.
So, like, is he going to come in and are they going to be like, hey, Anfernee, you don't shoot enough? Like, there's a chance they're like, you could really unlock yourself if you shoot even more.
Well, so
forget 9 threes a game.
Yeah.
How about you take 10, 11, 12 threes again, and then really you're leaning in on this style of play, which is one thing that makes me a little fearful about it. Holiday would shoot threes, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he had a conscience.
Right.
This guy doesn't have a conscience.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. But so Derek White, we were looking this up before. What was it? Something like 12 shots a game, but 9 of them are threes.
Yep.
So Simons is actually a little bit more 50-50, believe it or not. And
because there's so many shots.
There's a lot of shots to be had.
No,
they need guys to score.
Hang on. He was 50-50 in Portland.
What
do you think they do with him here?
No, I don't think it'll be 50-50. I think you're right. I think it will be more threes. He does have it in him, but like so does Jaylen Brown. So does Jason Tatum. So does Derek White. We've seen all those guys drive to the basket and score. And I think Simons can do that too. Like, he's smaller than those 3 guys that I mentioned, but we've seen him. He can still get into the paint, even though he's a littler guy. And he's a fantastic free throw shooter, so you want him to go to the line. But my guess is, you're right. Mazzulla gets his hands on him, and he's like, listen, you can take 9, 10 threes a game. If you pass up a 3, you're going to sit on the bench. Like, that's basically what's going to happen to Simons.
Terp had a bunch of good numbers on this. We're going to talk to Terp tomorrow at high noon. Who knows how many trades the Celtics will have made by then.
God.
Hashtag Terp knew. He tried to warn us. He said, guys, I think it's happening before the draft. Don't wait for the draft. It's happening before the draft. So shout out Terp. Give him a follow at Justin M. Turpin. Anfernee Simons, career 38% three-point shooter. Last year he attempted 8.5 threes a game. That would have ranked him third on the Celtics, behind Tatum at 10.5 and Derek White at 9.
Yeah, he fits right in nicely.
He was one of 20 players last year to make 200-plus threes.
Nice.
Anfernee Simons averaged 3.4 made threes per game after the start of the new year through the end of the year. That was the 5th most in the league during that span, behind only Curry, Edwards, Beasley, and White. So that gives you an idea of, again, how much he's shooting. And the most threes in Trailblazers history, Lillard, McCollum, Simons.
Man.
So that
no Terry Porter?
Just to give you an idea of what you're getting. That's what you're getting. And, Joe Mazzulla's face probably lit up when he found out they were getting this guy.
But I think for anybody that was wondering, all right, you just shot yourself out of the playoffs, basically. Are they going to change how they do things?
Nope.
They're not.
No,
they're going to triple down on it because Simons is going to take 4 times as many threes as Jrue Holiday. That was not really Jrue Holiday's game. I mean, he would take them, right? Everybody on the team would take them. But he was more of a defensive guy. It's sort of like setting up other players on the team. Simons is going to be firing away. So we'll see what the next moves are. I think I'm not surprised that whatever guard they brought in is a three-point shooter because 99% of guards are three-point shooters.
Fair.
I'm curious what the next big man is because if Porzingis goes, Porzingis is one of the better shooting bigs. And let's just assume Horford leaves. Those are 2 guys that even when you go big, you can still have 5 guys on the floor that shoot threes. So do they swap those guys out with other three-point shooters, or do they swap them out with like a Time Lord type of guy where you're like, oh, all right, at least they're not all going to be just standing outside the arc.
So a lot to discuss on this trade. Celtics get roughly a 20-point per game guy who launches threes in exchange for Jrue Holiday. Do you like the direction the franchise is going? Are you excited about the trade? Are they better or worse without Jrue Holiday?